In this video, you're going to learn the exact process that I use to create world-class content that's optimized for search engines and for readers. Let's get started. So let's break it down step by step. The first part of any great blog article is the title. Without a great title, you're not going to get clicks, you're not going to get shares, you're not going to get engagement, and most importantly, you're not going to get rankings. So for the potential title, it's just your first shot at your title. For here, I have 5-step taco recipe you can make in 15 minutes or less, beginner friendly. There's 2 big tips I want to give you based on this title right here. Number 1, always try to include a number in your title. I got this tip from Brian Dean from Backlinko. I also got the second tip from him, which is always try to use parentheses or block quotes in your titles. So see how I have beginner friendly in parentheses? Now the numbers drive more clicks. There's been research done that shows that numbers in a title drive more clicks, and it doesn't have to be a list article either. It doesn't have to be 5 ways to do X. You can use data, you can use percentages, you can use traffic numbers. Like I did here, 5 steps, 15 minutes. Any way you can think of to include a number is great. And then in the parentheses or the block quotes, you can use things like beginner friendly, like PDF, like case study. There's tons of other ideas, and I will share some in the content below, which if you're watching this on YouTube, click on the link in the description and go over to my SEO case study where I break down how I went from 0 to over 1,000 daily visitors in less than 6 months. So once you have your potential title, it's time for some alternative title suggestions. Now, I suggest using at least 5 to 10 potential topic ideas or title ideas. So literally write out 5 to 10 title ideas that you think would be a good fit that could drive some clicks. And I say at least 5 to 10 because you're going to whittle this down, and there's probably only going to be 2, maybe 3 potential winners. Oftentimes you'll find one clear cut, yeah, this is the one. So once you have your potential title and alternative title suggestions, then you can move on. I do have some tips here, and I'll share this document in the text below this video in my SEO case study, so make sure that you check that out. Now, the primary keyword is the main keyword you're trying to rank the article for. I always like to include that in the outline so I remember, okay, I need to include this multiple times in the image alt text, in the body copy, in the URL, etc., etc. LSI keywords, which I also talk about in the SEO case study, are latent semantic indexing keywords, which is just a fancy way of Google saying related or synonymous keywords. So if you have taco recipe, which we have here as our primary keyword, an LSI keyword might be something like easy taco recipes, ground beef taco recipe for chicken, vegetarian taco recipes, things like that. And you can find these by going to lsigraph.com. That's another tip I got from Brian Dean of Backlinko. Once you have your primary keyword, your title ideas, and your LSI keywords, then you move on to your competing content. Literally, I just go to Google, I type in my primary keyword and maybe some LSI keywords if I don't get enough from the primary keyword. I take the top 5 results, read through them. The ones that are really good, I put them right here underneath this to refer back to. And that's so you know exactly what you need to beat. And also because you can plug their websites into Ahrefs and see what keywords they're ranking for even more LSI keyword ideas. And finally, you can use their content as research and to figure out how people want to digest their content. Do they want it in tiny sections? Do they want this huge guide? Do they want lots of input from experts? Base that off of the top 5 results that you get from typing in your primary keyword into Google. Next up, we have the word count. I like to check the number of words in all of the top results in Google to see the general trend of how in-depth that content is. So I've had the example here. If you find the top result is 1,768 keywords, which you can check by going to wordcounter.net, then I would shoot for at least a 2,000 word article. And here, as a rule of thumb, most articles will never be below 1,000 words. However, I have written articles as high as 10,000 words, so sometimes they can be really, really long. If you don't have a word count, just put as long as needed. So word count, it'd be 2,000 words or as long as needed, or whatever that might be. For your content outline, this is where you actually write out the headers and subheaders within your content. And make sure you use the LSI keywords to guide your outline. You want to actually include these in your headers. So for example, our taco recipe outline might look like this. 5-step easy taco recipe. Step 1, choose chicken, ground beef, or vegetarian. Notice that all 3 of those were in the LSI keywords. Step 2, brown the meat and cut the veggies. Step 3, make it an authentic Mexican taco recipe. That was an LSI keyword. Plugged it right into that header and it made sense. Step 4, place everything in serving trays and bowls. Step 5, enjoy your delicious 15-minute tacos. Again, one of the keywords. And then don't be afraid to add in any research you found along the way underneath these headings so you can add more details in underneath them. But I like to at least have the headings in my outline. So bringing it all together, when it's done, it's going to look nice and clean like this. Potential title, boom. Alternative title suggestions, there you go. There's 5 right there. Primary keyword, taco recipe. Here's all of our LSI keywords. Here's the competing content that we have to beat. Our word count needs to be around 2,000 words. And then our content outline is right there. So it's nice and simple. It's very clean. It makes the flow of your content really, really strong, and it keeps your research there. So that way when you're writing, you can just get right to it and focus on actually writing. And you don't have to worry about doing the research as you're writing or finding LSI keywords as you're writing, because it's just a big distraction. The other great thing about this content outline is that you can fill out a section at a time and then leave and jump back in to another section whenever you need to, because you already have your flow organized. So now it's over to you. If you have any questions about the content outline that we just covered, or if you have any suggestions on how to improve the outline, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.